So all is about true knowledge, all is about unlearning, all is about true everything, whatever anything may be. So somebody can, in other words, get their conditions, their brainwashings, their programmings, etc., to then be who they're supposed to be with their perception of what reality is. So everybody can be on the same page. And I've been very busy and I haven't been sleeping correctly, and my face looks very, very distorted. So all of this, what this realistically is healable. That's the good thing. I know something is reversible in terms of how my face is. My face is not even supposed to be this particular style. This is sleep deprivation. And this is me being busy from sleep deprivation, realistically. So is there more to life than all this fuss that's going around? You know, here it is. Here the time is 11:53 p.m. Okay, 11:53 p.m. and I'm up all day, all night, every single day, saying what I'm saying, mentioning what I'm mentioning. Everybody's saying what they're saying. Everybody mentioning what they're mentioning. Some people saying, some people mentioning, some people not being able to say or mention. With the phenomena that's being understood in terms of what I'm saying, all everything can change according to, in any given element of time, someone always making the most correct choice decision until to a point where something is changed, to a point where then something is making a more correct choice decision, to a point where then element is changed and something else is making a different type of a correct choice or decision. Until whatever anybody or anybody is doing is in any given element the absolute answer of what they can be doing. And everybody doing that in any given element, being the most true, being the most absolute in terms of who you are. So remember, I'm not me. I've adapted to everybody. I'm the middle. Generally. With that being said, all people have to understand that I'm a little bit of everybody, a little bit of everything. So, with me being a little bit of everything, a little bit of everybody, in terms of whatever label anybody may have, the point is to be able to understand the entire phenomena, me and everybody, from everybody also being the middle, because I equal everybody. So that equals everybody is the middle of everything, thoughts, ideas, perceptions, notions, understandings, a little bit of everything from everybody. Everybody's everybody. This is significant because I thought about this. If everybody's everybody, a little bit of everything, and generally that is what is true. Okay? That is what is true. Everybody's a little bit of everybody in terms of everything in this universe that's composed of. So some people play dirty games, I noticed, in terms of this. You know how you're supposed to do something, something makes sense for you to do, and so on and so forth? You know how you try to do that, however, when people are playing dirty games, you back off, you don't want to do that anymore? For that to change, for people to get the correct reaction, to do something, and for something to be, and for something to make sense to be. I can't wait to get out of my predicaments. I can't wait to feel good, to be able to do everything I need to do. I can't do that because people are playing dirty games, knowing what I have to do is correct. Playing dirty games not allowing me to do what I need to do is correct. To use lie excuses to justify their wrongdoings on me. That's what some people are doing. And remember, they're not doing this to me. They're doing this to a little bit of everybody. Instead of growing what is truth, instead of being from what is truth, people are doing that impression. I'm hesitating from doing what I should be doing also, even though something is correct for me to do, because I know that something is already being done, similar to me doing my job, and everybody's doing their job. Because then think about that. I can go places, and also with that said, there's other places that may be afar that I can't always go. Something will take me so much time to do so many things. So I suggest people get online. Everybody get online. And everybody makes sense in terms of attaining knowledge, in terms of sharing their stories. And then, of course, with that, then something can be made outside of ourselves in terms of making sense correctly. Hey, you left your stuff here, Angie. Actually, I did. So, are people going to realistically allow people to be who they are? And I know this is already occurring. I know the majority of all issues stopped. That's why I understood these several days. Majority of all issues arrived to a halt. Somebody's opinion of something or someone doesn't make sense in terms of some type of cussing I heard. So, long story short, see, the thing is there's always many phenomena occurring where I'm trying to always, do all that I can in terms of everything making sense. Did I notice correct change of what correct change was occurring throughout the entire midst? I did. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest because that's what this is all about. Honesty. So I did notice amazing changes occurring throughout the entire midst. Me being busy the way I am in terms of everything that's ever occurred, everything that I'm saying in terms of what, what's fascinating? I recalled something today earlier. I was going to mention something, and someone always, you know, went through what I was saying and doubted and had this. I think people are testing their insecurities, their doubts, their lack of perception or understanding of something. I think they're testing that out and sensing that, you know what, I was correct of what I was saying the entire time. Good for people to understand something, because then people can make correct choices, decisions. When so I won't be affected wrongly. I can be affected correctly, where I'm literally going to be able to do what I need to do so I could do a favor for the entire planet. And yet I feel with predicaments, I'm doing this weird everything. And unless people are that good of whatever they're doing and they're doing this, that's the only thing that makes sense for me. So to perfect this, realistically, understand everybody, to perfect this and not do weird acts around me, stop that. These weird acts shouldn't be. Think about this. In any given element of reality, of everything, whatever anybody's doing, people make mistakes, of course. We're human. The point is to strive to not make a mistake, to refrain from making mistakes, in other words. Striving to continue and refrain from making mistakes, and mistakes occur. If mistakes occur, no one should be acting like, oh, I made a mistake. No one should be acting like, oh, that was a mistake. No, I'm talking about being truthful. I'm talking about being honest. I know people are conscious in their subconscious minds, everything that they're doing. People walking in this universe, sharing a variety of everything with everyone. So everybody being aware, being quote unquote mindful, and doing their part in terms of refraining and being the most correct in any given element, whatever, anywhere, wherever anybody may be. I'm in a house at the moment of time. I believe that the most correct for me thing to do is I need water, so I'm drinking water, going through the enlightenment process of what the truth really is, to be able to understand everything and do my portion, my job, being a human citizen upon this earth. So I feel like this is the correct thing for me to do at the moment of time. Me drinking water, taking care of myself so I can feel well. Nourish my body, the need of what my body needs naturally, not fixed or artificially, or people that mold people and tampered with them and so on and so forth. No. I'm talking about in terms of realistically something from a dysfunction changing and being a function in terms of every element of reality, whatever element of reality is, you are the most correct. Drinking water. drinking water, and doing so, sitting down, breathing, and remembering to breathe on this chair, and me making sense of whatever I can, whatever anything may be. And that always takes me back to my formula. And I'm going to continue something. Excuse me. That is true. Because I myself am not a regular person. I'm not the average person that people may think. And I'm not saying that in terms of me saying that just to say that or me to have like a. I'm saying this because everybody's different. Everything is different. And so, therefore, what I went through was a huge enlightenment process. Huge enlightenment process within myself and outside of myself, with the exception of a lot of disturbances. A lot of people did a lot of disturbances throughout the midst with a purpose, a mix of a purpose and non purpose, and a non purpose. The non purpose was the issue. Remember the definitions and the mislabeling of, oh, what was the purpose, what was non purpose, in terms of how people understood whatever they understood. Everybody is supposed to take this in terms of what I'm saying and understand correctly. And if people don't understand correctly, they can realistically call me and we can understand everything together. And my phone number is 818-216-6285. And my name is Gevo. So, going through this midst, I try to understand everything in terms of what was what. To then be able to give my take on the totality of everything that I was sensing and feeling. So while everything I was doing was true and correct through the entire midst, realistically being honest, many people possibly try to do all that they can to try to fit everything and everyone in their narrative, being those groups in terms of their perception, their perspective, and their ideas and their visions and their thoughts about something or someone. Each person possibly picked a puzzle, picked a page, a word, a sentence, a paragraph, something throughout the entire day. And people then were able to so through all this perception, all this perspective, people were able then to judge and make choices, decisions on every single person. The thing is what I was mentioning earlier to do with perception. The perception of the person has to be in terms of people being on the same page, people being on the same understanding, people being on the same word, people being on the same letter, people being on the same thought, understanding, idea, and realistically, the point would be for everybody to be on the same perception. So perceiving everything the correct perception of how something is supposed to be perceived. The perception of me is that the color of this is blue, and light blue to less light blue to less light blue to a little bit more dark. Okay, some people I'm noticing are scared or something. There's like some type of noise going on, where some people are making a noise like, uh, whether there was a chuckling, laughing noise, or whether that was a chuckling noise, or that was something that was like some type of a scared thing that occurred. And somebody said, "Damn." So the way I understand "damn" is truth pushing all those lies back. So you know what something is? Everything is good in terms of what something realistically is, from my understanding, because of the way people may be feeling and how people may have affected people, depending on how you're affected. You may be feeling something else in terms of how something or someone may be affected. Even though something is good, you may not feel the most correct way you're supposed to feel. In terms of the way genuinely the person is supposed to feel, they're not feeling the way they're supposed to feel. Some are less feeling this, some are more feeling this, some are most feeling this. Okay? And there may be more, of course, of what is occurring. So the entire point, the entire understanding, everything pinpoints to people realistically going from that feeling of how they feel. And when I'm talking about perception and everything, I was going to mention this several days ago from what I understood with that. Because many people may receive something in terms of visions or thoughts or something, whatever anything may be, especially or when something or someone is talking about their own self, and have different ideas about everything. Somebody said, "Oh my God," and they drove near me. Really funny. So, look, in terms of how I'm feeling, how I'm sensing, how I'm looking, everything, does that matter? Everything matters. However, remember, there's been manipulations, there's been a variety of different forms of feelings that people have felt. And while I'm mentioning this, I was going to mention something else. That's why I had to pause for a second. There was something else going on. I was trying to understand what that was. And again, something happened similar to that. So remember, nothing is anything what somebody thinks it is. Okay? So ultimately, the point of that then would be for everything and everyone to return back to their true nature, continue being true, and go to where everything belongs, be where everything belongs. So, how do I know, for instance, okay, that my oranges are supposed to belong there instead of somewhere else? How do I know? I don't know. I happened to put it there. Okay, so while I'm explaining this, you know what else is going on? Live reactions, live opinions, possibly. Somebody showed me a vision when I was at the park today to do with guys sleeping with women, and the spot was around me or something. What the heck was that about? You know, who showed me that? Does that make me correct, or does that make that? I know that person was known, whoever that was. I know people are aware of one another. I know that. So whether or not I'm aware of exactly what that person is or was, well, I know I saw the person's face. I saw the person what he's doing. However, I didn't believe that this was true. I don't believe that this is true. With a wide variety of reasons why I don't believe that's true. I don't think anybody would do that type of a nonsense game on me, that dirty play. I don't think anybody would do that. Unless they're dirty game players, playing a dirty game on themselves, trying to change the story, trying to drag me in their stupid story and change the story, then that may be the only reason. Well, that's not a reason, however, you understand what I'm saying. Actually, you don't. So, because reason has to do with truth and it cannot be corrupted. That word is a very pure word. No one should be messing or changing that word to something else. Me being true, no one should be uh, false with me. Me being true, no one should be false with me at all. Unless those people are false, unless those people are false selves, unless those people are literally their ego self, unless those people didn't understand the entire thing, unless people possibly are dirty game players or something else along those lines, then they shouldn't be playing dirty with me. I don't do that. I don't play that game. Even if I can, even if I could, I won't. Why? That's not me. Why go against myself? You know? Why go against myself? Every day, people are going against themselves. Every day. Depending on how some people are affected, in terms of what the frequencies did to people, they may feel very, very different in terms of what that sound buzz was around me. Okay? That was a buzz. Was that with a test of somebody doing something? Yeah, from my perception, he's being allowed to do that. However, that was botherative. So imagine one thing being botherative linked to something else being botherative. You see the story of somebody forcing themselves in somebody's life. I could choose to not mention that. I can choose to mention that. I can do whatever I want with that. I can choose to mention that. I could ignore that. I can mention something else about that, what something may be in terms of what I may be understanding. There may be a wide variety of things I can mention about that particular noise. However, none of that matters, to be honest with you. Think about that. None of that matters. Instead of the person focusing on being the answer and people growing what is true, they're thinking in terms of 10,000 million gazillion trillion thoughts and ideas that could be talking about something to do with my false self. So, can the person change and doesn't change? Is the answer. Can the person change and doesn't change? So, if the person can change and doesn't change, what may be the elements of the person not changing? In other words, is there a just of what some people are doing with whatever they're doing? Somebody's cussing at me in my refrigerator at this moment in time, in my language. Whatever that signification is to some people. For the first time, I heard something being abundantly known to me. Instead of, well, not the first time, however, in a long time. And for the first time, realistically, yeah, I did hear something stemming from somewhere. Or second time, that something was abundantly known to me. So depends on the reactions, depends on the entirety of what all people may perceive. They may adapt to what you're doing. However, was that a puzzle of what occurred on me at this moment of time? Somebody cussing at me? No. I'm noticing, I'm seeing everything, whatever everything is going on from a true perspective, from a true self. And I'm doing this in terms of understanding the totality of what everything is, to then myself adapt to everything, what everything is. Okay? So, are people doing the same thing? Are they their true self? Are they their true nature? And are they collectively understanding everything to then be able to take that in and then be able to adapt to everything based on being also true? I'm talking about the truth being the cup and the water. So in this bottle, there's a little bit of water. So that's what's true. Everybody can agree that this is water, this is healthy, this is good for me, and this is therefore this is true. Where the bottle was out on the sun when the water was when after the water was produced on the in the plastic bottle is another story. So we all know that this is water and this is true. This is good for us. Everybody can agree that this is true. This is water. This is good for us. That's what the truth is. So the truth is good, similar to what I mentioned before. And the truth being good is the element, for instance, being water. This one happens to be mixed with cinnamon and lime. So the truth is good, therefore people can agree that each element, that something is true, that something is good, and that people are utilizing something true and good correctly. And this is what is true. This is absolute answer in terms of the water, being the most correct. Being the most correct. And that was subconscious. If somebody saw this finger, that was subconscious. I wasn't focusing on that. So the water is the absolute answer. The most cleanest, most best water for your body is the most absolute answer. Okay. However, water is universal. Water is true. Water is good, and so therefore, that's the answer. And I'm utilizing the water correctly. My body needs the water. Therefore, my body needs the water, and therefore, I'm drinking the water moderately. However much my body needs the water, and doing so, I'm putting my water back to where I received the water. So, similar to everything and everyone, whatever they may be doing, the water is the answer. And therefore, I'm practicing the answer. I'm applying the answer. I'm applying the answer. I'm applying what is true, and therefore the answer is working for me. Everybody can agree what the truth is. This is what truth is. Everyone can agree. You cannot disagree with what the truth is. You can't say, "Oh no, I disagree." No, you can't. You'll be fooling yourself. That's similar to disagreeing with what water is. You need water. You need truth. You need to agree to drink water, to practice, to apply what is true. So then you can correctly be able to utilize this moderately with balance, this being true, and drink and apply and practice the answer, and the answer goes inside you. So drinking water moderately with balance, drinking breathing exercises moderately with balance, sleeping moderately with balance, eating healthy moderately with balance, understanding correctly to then being able to with balance with moderately sharing your information of what is occurring. A person like me is not dealing with 5 or 10 things. I'm dealing with a wide variety of a spectrum of so many things. So I'm trying to fill everybody's cup with the answer. And everybody, in terms of what are they doing? Are they doing something similar in terms of utilizing water correctly to be able to then fill somebody's cup? So if not, then that's what people need to be focusing on. What people need to be focusing on is being the answer, and being the answer, people then can. You know what's going on? This is what's going on. While I'm explaining something in a moment of time, somebody has so much insecurity or doubts or something, then in a moment of time while I'm saying something, someone is trying to say something to me. I don't know what they're trying to say. I'm not even hearing what they're trying to say because I have something very significant to say that word may be like literally something that is so significant that is more important than what I'm trying to understand. Especially when somebody is doing something to do with some type of a weird noise of whatever they're doing. And some people are then trying to make me believe that this is reality, that this is real, of whatever they're trying to make me believe. What's real is the fact that I'm sitting here and I'm making a video and I can share this and people can know the information. So throughout the time, people being true in my life from day one till today, me being the most true, of me being the most true to the entirety of everything that ever occurred on me, being the most true, of me being in the middle of what the answer is, being established, making this abundantly established, to then to be able to then decipher my information. So everything I'm doing similar to this, I'm choosing my reality. I'm creating my reality in terms of the most truth to the least truth of everybody and everything being known, leaders to groups, groups to leaders, whatever is going to be the most perfect situation with the planet. You know what's fascinating to me? I think some people's perceptions are so off, whatever anything may be. So what else I'm understanding is going on is some people, in terms of a perception that I'm hearing in the moment of time, I don't know what they're trying to signify to me. I don't know what their perception or belief of something is. So different people's perceptions, I think, or perspectives about me or about somebody else may be so off of what I believe, what I understand to be true. Somebody wants me to do every single thing in terms of this, in terms of everything, in terms of everything. Somebody wants me to do what I want to do with my life. I don't think some people are understanding everything the most correct. You know how you read a book, and in that book, you read everything correct and you understand everything correct in terms of what exactly is occurring on me, of all everything that's occurring on me is maybe occurring on the people, and so they may be thinking the same thing, and some people may have a different perception, some may have a different perspective, and something else. That's the entire point, though. For everybody to have realistically go to the first perception of what reality was. So somebody, I think, while I was mentioning something in terms of the answer, I was going to mention a wide variety of other things. Somebody threw themselves inside while I was mentioning something, and I went off with a different story. So somebody then is possibly comparing that or linking that with something else that may realistically have nothing to do with one another. Okay? Have nothing to do with one or the other at all. Yet some people are not testing that. Or maybe they are, however, I'm not aware. And that may be the issue. So remember, what's going on is the fact that people going through this journey of what I'm going through have to be on the same page in terms of everything that's occurring. In doing so, people will generally understand what's going on. Because imagine this: imagine people are sleeping in this moment of time, and I want to sleep to 12:38 a.m. However, how about the across of the planet that needs some information in terms of how they should be moving, where I can be a guide of that, or somebody else can be a guide. I can be an information of that, so somebody can make a correct choice decision. Somebody said OMG at the moment of time. So look, in terms of being human, in terms of understanding everything, what I'm saying is every single being upon the face of this earth should literally be the answer. In any given element, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing, what is the most correct? And the most correct is being a benefit to yourself, being a benefit to another person, and being a benefit to the planet. Now, being a benefit to the person may not always like what you have to say. However, the problem is if you're true and whatever you're saying is true, and they have a problem with the truth of whatever you may be saying, they need to change. You heard that correctly. I'm truth. Somebody's dysfunctional. I say, hey, you know what? That's dysfunction. In the totality of everything of the entire universe, I'm telling that person in a nicer way. Hey, that's dysfunctional. So look, this is a dog. This is a good dog, and somebody may be associating me with a dog. That's okay. I'm a dog too. Ruff, ruff. However, I'm not a dog. I'm a human. I can be like a dog. I don't have to be a dog. However, I'm a human. I have a skill where I can understand the perception of a dog. I can perceive the dog, and therefore, I can understand the dog's tongue. And people may say, "Oh, well, dog spelled backwards is God," and God has been given a bad name. God has been given a bad name, and therefore, the dog has been given a bad name. Animals have been given a bad name. If they haven't been given a bad name, why is somebody eating an animal? Is that the answer? That's not the answer. This is the answer. This is the answer too. The dog's happy. That's the answer. However, with the most correct possible of the entire universe, of the entire galaxy, of the dog being happy, I'm supposed to be happy. I am happy. Throughout the entire midst, I'm happy. However, am I really happy of how every happiness should be upon the face of this earth? No, I'm not like this. I am. However, everything in terms of being happy, however, being correct and true is the answer. When the person is eating animals, in whatever way, however way I say something, doesn't matter. I say something, whatever way, doesn't matter. What matters is that this needs to be stopped being eaten. The dog, the animal, the cow, the everything. Doesn't matter what label you call anything. Some people, at some point of time, talked in reference about, oh, well, the dog is a dog and wildlife is wildlife. That's true. Wildlife is different. Domesticated animal is different too. However, the domesticated animal is also life too. And the domesticated animal does not need to be eaten or junk food or tested or people make money off of him. This is life. Life is supposed to be preserved. Life is supposed to be preserved. Life is very important. Everything matters. So, some people then, with that being said, what they do is they go around the planet and they have a weird effect or manipulation on people, and people make wrong choices, wrong decisions, and fit in people's categories and narratives and thoughts and ideas. And then people make blind choices, blind decisions on people. In other words, something that is not true, something that is false. One does something on another one does something on another, so nothing is realistically understood correctly. Is that reality? Is that the answer? Is this the answer? See, that was a different story. However, that was the need of what I said, so I said something correctly. So is that the answer? What is the answer? I've already established something a long time ago. I'm going to continue being true in terms of who I am and what I need to do. I established many things. I had peace with myself. With myself, not with anything or anyone making a wrong choice or decision on me in terms of what I'm saying. People have to realistically go through this journey to understand what I understand. And I believe, if something is judged correctly, and there's a mold of something being judged correctly, then that can be spread in terms of the cure of how every single thing needs to be judged correctly. So everything is correct and true in terms of what I'm doing. I know how to spell something correctly. With me, something is, do you believe the person? Do you believe them? Do you believe them? Who do you believe? Wherever I've been correct and true the entire time, I haven't lied at all through the entire midst. If there was some type of a lie, then something was just. If I lied, misunderstanding, mixing cannot be counted in similar to a lie. Misunderstanding and mixing something, particularly seeing some type of reflection to something or someone, may not. have counted. So again, going back to this, the entire point of this is realistically for this to be lived, fulfill purpose. You see how reality is not making sense? I just thought about a dog being eaten with a carnivore animal. Didn't make sense, especially when the dog is a male. And this himself being half carnivore and half something else. So the entire point of him would also be to go back to being only eating plants and take from the tree. However, with balance of something else, of course, doing the job to balance that out. So, realistically, what's wrong with this image? This, these, this. Something's wrong with this image. This is abnormal. This is abnormal. This is abnormal. This is abnormal. What is normal? This, that. Okay. All this else, everything else is normal, and this is abnormal. This is not supposed to be human food. People are supposed to catch this, catch everything. Understand that you may be conditioned. You may be conditioned to think something that is abnormal for you to do. Why do something that is abnormal for you to do? Don't misunderstand. There's specific people that need meat to survive, and they have a specific body. And I'm not. Your story is different. Somebody else's story is different. This is general what I'm saying. Specific people do need to eat meat, especially gradually letting go of eating meat. Yes. However, I would suggest, please, the animal naturally passing or technology is the answer for you. Killing the animal when you could survive without eating meat is not the answer for you. You can survive without eating meat. You can. There's everything else you can think of. You can survive without eating meat. So there's basically no excuse why you can't not eat meat to survive. You can eat meat. Excuse me. You can survive without eating meat. You can. Those who can't, different story for them. For them, different story. For somebody else, a different story. For somebody else, a different story. So everybody doing their portion to explain everything, whatever they can explain for somebody else to understand the gist correctly, is the answer also. And what I'm understanding that also has been going on for a long time. And me connecting the dots of what was occurring a long time ago. There's many things I'm not mentioning, and I can't mention everything at once because there's just so much going on. I feel though the obvious is already mentioned. That's my fault. That's my mistake. Except, however, I do believe that is true from my understanding of what has been occurring. However, me mentioning it, is that my mistake or is that the effect of how I'm feeling? And I didn't mention that. I don't know. That may vary. Versus something that I know for sure that I don't say may vary. I say no. That is somebody else's. Okay, because that's been counted. Versus something else that hasn't been counted. So I'm not trying to lie. I'm trying to be honest. Being honest is exactly how this will work. So this is abnormal. Put my hand over it because this is more normal. My hand. Yeah. However, I shouldn't cover this. I shouldn't see this. This shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be here. These things shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be here. Nothing should be there except this. Good. This can be here. This can be here. This can be here. You know, the things inside the main things that make sense in terms of that. No, remember, no one picks and chooses what I'm saying. That. So this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, and so therefore, why what is this doing on the in here? Instead, everything else to do with truth. There you go. The word just. So you know what? I like the definition of this. However, this can be definitely updated and changed and be made much more better than this definition is, in terms of this being possibly a page or two or more or 10 or a book about just the word just. Because this word is not only one word, is many, 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 many words. And I'll be right back. So realistically, this is me. This is how I really feel. This is how I should be. Why haven't I been this way? Because I'm not faking how I'm feeling. That's why. In terms of the totality of everything, of what everything feels, though, you know? Yeah. People have done that to me. I'm not kidding. You can ask them. You can ask me too. So I wish I could do everything simultaneously, you know? I would. Everything on dot on point. Happens. Yet that can be possible. That can be done. And that is being done too, from my understanding. And more available to be done, and so on and so forth. Some people may be so affected and influenced that they may see something that is wrong and may wonder, like, why is that person still doing something? You know, from my understanding, people are aware and they're doing something that they know is wrong. Either something is natural passing, technology, or somebody's being fair or just in terms of the totality of everything to see how I perceive something. That may be the answer. I perceive something in terms of why, you know something is wrong. Why are you doing something that is wrong? No one should be threatened. No one should be forced. No one should be playing politics. No one should be playing dirty games. No one should be mixing anything. Everything being truth and honest of what truth and honest is. This being the water, the answer. That's what I've been doing the entire time. Just from the overall perspective of everything. Me focusing on everything to do with what is true and mentioning everything that is false to refrain from this, and here are the reasons why. So now some people are racing to paint pictures differently, possibly. That may be occurring. I've been mentioning that this is bad. I haven't been partaking in this. I haven't been partaking in that. I haven't been partaking in that. So why is this bad? Well, you would nobody will want this to happen to them. No one. You can't say you want this to happen to you. No one want this to happen to them. No one should be put in fear in terms of them doing this because somebody said, hey, you know what, do this, and I'll give you an illusion of reality, or you'll have an illusion way out, whatever anything may be. Because what I mentioned is this, that the answer is this without that. And so everything has been fair on me, whatever they did on me, and I beat them in their own game. They have to change according to what is true. I was going to mention a variety of other things in the moment of time. However, I'm trying to focus on one perception to explain something correctly to then be able to then go on to something else. So this isn't normal. And the reason this is abnormal is because this may be part of the dysfunction of what is occurring here in reality. In other words, if you're suffering, if you're feeling weird, if you're feeling in odds, then this may be why. In other words, this is something that someone is doing, eating, buying, selling, distributing, and making somewhere. Not making, however, making. Okay? Somebody's making this. However, do you understand that the word making doesn't belong here? You shouldn't be making this. You can't make this. You shouldn't be making this. You shouldn't be making that. Because this has nothing to do with reality. So I know what some people are doing. They've done some type of psychology on me and a variety of other things. So then this won't be done. That's how I'm perceiving something. That was weird. Somebody's saying some type of a channel with me with podcast mess or something, while I'm saying something. Then I heard something. So somebody's doing some type of a cheat or something. Or maybe they're talking about something or someone or something else possibly. Why I happened to mention something. That is what is true. So this cannot be on the dinner table. This cannot be in the stores, in the grocery aisle. Because this is abnormal. Because this is dysfunction. Because this goes against the very nature of reality. Okay? Everybody, do yourselves a favor, stop eating meat. Don't look at anybody else. Do yourselves a favor, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this. You know why? That was subconscious. With the finger I used. Don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this. Refrain from eating that because that's not normal. That's why. Because that's a dysfunction. Because this is a minus of true reality. The person eating this is the dysfunction of true reality of what is occurring here. When this doesn't occur, true reality is able to be manifested. Everything is able to be fulfilled. So realistically, because that all is also being shown, realistically, that's what makes sense. Yeah. The happy dog, this entire picture, this is what makes sense the most. Let's try this. Here we go. Either this makes sense the most. Oh, oh, there we go. That's what makes sense the most. In this image, well, it doesn't because those images are there. So with this image, this is what makes sense the most. So notice that this makes sense the most, that makes sense the most. Oh no, this makes sense the most. No, 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 this makes sense. Oh, this makes sense the most. This is what makes sense the most. You know what's fascinating to me? Hmm, fascinating. Well, I can't say I'm talking about this. I'm not talking about anything else because anything else, something is not fully known to me. So I can say something does make sense to me or doesn't make sense to me outside of myself. So that has to be abundantly known to me whether something else outside myself makes sense or not. However, this is what makes sense. Therefore, the most sense, however, would be for this not to be here, that not to be there, not to be there, so I could display this, the entire photo, and that is what will make sense without that, that, and the mix of that. That's also what will make the most sense. Instead of something being half. You have the entire picture. That's what's important to understand. So remember, life is amazing. Life is the way life is supposed to be, not how you want things to be. Because what you want may be this. So, in terms of everybody that's being true, good job, more power to you in all elements of reality. And everybody else, realistically, that isn't there, better late than never to change. And I would say you should have changed a long time ago. And so that's generally. Now, why wasn't somebody changed? Create upon themselves, like excuses, fabrications. Just, less just. Time will tell. And the definitions of what is just, the mislabeling of what is just, whom claims something or someone is just. The point is, no matter what you find out, the formula is the most correct thing. The formula was truth being in all positions of power and stopping all physical emotional harm. Doing so, everything will be changed according to the function of themselves and outside themselves to attain knowledge, to get out of predicaments, to be the way they're supposed to be, to then fulfill the purpose of what, who they are and what they are. And everything being a puzzle of how the puzzle is supposed to be. That's the answer. And people should definitely leave me alone and somebody else alone so I can get out of my predicament, so I can do this, and I can do this the most correctly possible. So that I could naturally arrive to that state of consciousness, naturally arrive to that state of being. Do something without an effort and do something the way I'm supposed to. That's what's correct. That's what the true measurement is. And before then, of course, I've done everything else, so everything else can function correctly, so that I could do what I need to do, so that I could get out of predicament. So then the true measurement can also be felt with side effects, with functions, and with everything else. So the true measurement, and in terms of not only me, however, everybody can be seen, can be experienced. Everybody's brainwashed. No one can take advantage of anybody. People are rushed to make choices and decisions that have nothing to do with reality. Different people have different perceptions or perspectives about an image I just saw. However, something does make sense in terms of the totality of everything that ever occurred. You know, some people have different perceptions of something. So going back to what I was saying, So just a multitude of things occurring, to be honest with you. Well, I'm thinking about other things also. In terms of everybody getting out of their predicaments, not being bothered, not being tampered with, however, everybody left alone. What time, when does something recover and be the perfect version of selves? That's a very, very important measurement to understand the effects of everything that ever occurred. You see, the more correct we get this, we understand this. Excuse me. The more correct everything will be, including those same people that go around and disturb people's sleeps. I care about those people also that cause issues. I do. And the reason I do is because they may be on another wavelength, on another math, with another knowledge or lack of knowledge thereof, reality. I'm not saying that just to say that. I'm saying that because I understood past what they were doing. I'm telling you from the universe's perspective of how the earth sees something. You know, Mother Earth is alive and well, and Mother Earth is literally keeping everything and everyone alive every single night, every single day. Think about everything. The fact that people are born on this earth and they have a chance to life. I can breathe this air. Think about the works that's put into this reality. You know, people are lucky to be alive. I wish I wasn't seeing this in this moment of time, in this gesture, and how I'm looking or perceiving reality in this moment of time. However, that's what reality, everything ever happened, and that's what this is. You know. So the good thing about humans is the fact that we can be reversed in terms of how we look. Okay, there's a lack of deprivation, and me continuing every single day doing what I'm doing, and sugar, I think, and cigarettes. I just smoked for 12 years. However, I could have healed. I could have changed. My face could have been correct. I think sleep deprivation is what the problem is. So many people may be suffering because of this and may not be stemming from use outside. So, what type of bets do people do on my life or on somebody else's life? What type of effects? What type of influences? What type of perspective or perception were they trying to paint, and somebody else was trying to paint them, and something else, and something else, and something else? Somebody said OMG, and somebody saying OMG with driving. These are funny. So perspective, perceptions, whatever fit in people's idea or mold or anything, whatever anything was, that's how they did everything. The problem is something was entirely off. Okay? Something was entirely off. It's funny, man. Somebody I saw a vision of someone that I do like. Well, I can't say like I love. I do love that that person. And I saw something. And at the same time, while I saw something, that private vision that should be private, I do love that. Then people are going to try to, when something is realistically the way something is, then people are trying to bet something and then win something and then share something possibly. In other words, there may be more to the story of what is occurring. Regardless of anything, whatever way I'm trying to make the most best out of anything, and I did throughout the entire midst of how I perceived everything. I did my part, you know. I made mistakes. However, the mistakes, realistically, when I'm thinking about something, I don't make mistakes in terms of me being true. The mistake is from an outside force of something that causes some type of issue that has a wrong effect that then people are making mistakes. So maybe a multitude of something occurring, not something else that is occurring. So these are just different types of pages and chapters. Remember, something similar to what occurred on me this entire time may feel like a day. Literally, I'm not kidding. Depending on what type of instrument is used on you, how you're perceiving something, what may be going on, how you're affected, where the influence is. I'm not kidding. May feel only a one day. I did something that something reflected back to me in terms of how something was. And I did that because I'm trying to show people that I'm true man. And, well, no, I'm not Truman. Even though I'm Truman, if Truman is true in terms of the elements being just and being true, I'm him too. You know, me being true and people not being true back to me in terms of what the truth is. However, I do understand that people are being the most true that they can in terms of the elements of reality. However, in terms of the way I understood something, in terms of being realistically true back, I experienced people that were, regardless of what anybody may say, whatever part, whatever, however they perceive something, and uh, somebody just said my first name and last name and said something weird and then good in terms of my first name and last name. However, I don't think people realistically understand unless they go through the same thing. then people may understand. However, I believe no one should be going through anything that I went through, unless somebody chooses to and doesn't understand, and everything was supervised and everything was stops. That's what I recommend, and that's what I've been saying from day one till today. However, realistically, no one should be going through this. The point of to go through this is to understand, and then once people understand, then they can make correct choices and decisions in terms of what true reality really is. Because everything else, people are going off of images and going off of bits and pieces of information. They're not really understanding everything the way something is supposed to realistically be understood. And so these are different groups also that I'm sensing, that I'm feeling. And they may be having speaking of effect, speaking of perspective, they may be having a very, very, very weird perspective and effect of something or someone. And doing so, they may have even affected me or somebody else to be in a particular style of how I look. Simply because there was also body tampering and face tampering in the midst. Okay? That's what occurred. And this is a result of lack of sleep, me being unhealthy, and sleep. No, this is a result of lack of sleep, lack of taking care of myself, and possibly not only lack of sleep, however, disturbances. Okay? Disturbances of people that were set out to draw something in their narrative, in their image, and their math. Without trying to understand, without doing the correct math, or trying to understand the correct math, looking for like excuses and not legitimate reasons of what is true. And so, how can that be? How can something or someone find excuses and not true reasons of being true? I just can't be that type of a person. I can't find lie excuses. I'm realistically going through this, and I'm realistically trying to tell people that, hey, you know what? In terms of everything that I ever perceived, this is one of the most truths of what something may be. One of the most truths, not the most truth, no. One of the most truths of what something can be. So, in terms of just understand that even though people may say, "Oh, we kept people on limits and this and this and this," doesn't matter. I'm outside of the box. I'm outside of thinking. I'm outside of everything. My collections of reality and everything is what something is. And I don't know what some people. I think what some people did is they allowed themselves to be shown a vision, realistically. That's how I perceive that. Somebody allowed themselves to be shown that type of a vision, whatever I saw. And whomever is true saw the same thing. If somebody saw that and they weren't true, then that doesn't make sense with me. Notice how somebody showed me something and then that thought was born. If they didn't show me that thought wouldn't be possibly born. So if people have this vision of me in terms of how I am originally, they have they have different types of versions of me too. However, realistically, the way I am is not me. It's not my perception. It's somebody else's perception. Perspective, perception, and everything that they made me be. This outside thing affected the inside thing. The inside thing affected the outside thing. So I'm sensing something from true reality's perspective. I'm not envisioning something in terms of the false reality's perspective. So the important thing is for me to get out of my predicaments, to be able to do what I need to do, what makes perfect sense for me to do, of who I am, not of anybody else that claims to be me. Somebody's trying to possibly make seem that, oh yeah, something was in him. I think again, everything's been proven realistically. Inevitably, the fulfillment of oneself is to be perfect and all. This is original. Not only in images, however, in terms of my writing. Somebody's saying exactly. So every time I'm true, literally every single time in terms of everything that's occurring, and I'm trying to perceive it. I'm trying to give back of what something is. I'm putting myself in everybody's shoes, in everybody's perspective. And I've proven this in terms of me mentioning this and me talking about everything and me literally giving a solution of everything, of how everything is supposed to be. This is not how I'm supposed to look. Okay? I will get out of this phase of looking this particular style. I will. I will. I will look much more better than how I look. Because this is not how I look. This is people's perceptions and perspectives of doing facial features, purpose, and something going against the purpose that is nothing to do with the purpose at all. And somebody's doing a nonsense impression that I don't believe of whatever they did. Somebody else is doing the true impression of what it is. And in terms of them working together with truth to make everything sense. That was what was true. The other thing that wasn't true. And I heard God. And I heard this with people my age possibly saying this. So if something wasn't true, I wouldn't be mentioning something in terms of what I just heard. And in terms of where everything else, through my perspective and perception and how I perceive something and how I mention something of what something is. And also me being true, something truth is also back to me also, generally. While in the midst, what occurred was something was a mix. However, I guess I was able to handle that too, and I was able to distinguish the difference of what the truth was. And people continuously understood that to be true also and introduced that to many perspectives, thousands, millions, however, of course, billions and trillions, all into minimized to the perception of what the perception is. So, yes or no, and black and white may be a collection of everything into two. However, from my understanding, that is true, and that may be mixed where something needs to be more updated in terms of the. Why I wrote something, somebody's thinking some type of a different perspective. That I don't really doesn't matter to me or what they're saying. So in everything, I'm everything true. I'm everything false. Nothing to do with me. Weak. Okay. Everything that's not true is weak to me. Truth is power. Truth is strong. Everything else is nothing to do with what is true. And has nothing to do with power. So the perception, the perspective is very, very significant. Okay? Why? Because the perception, the perspective is not only my perception, my perspective. The perception, the perspective is also the totality of the universe's perspective. Speaking of perception, perspective, some people are then testing out a wide variety of different perceptions and perspectives in a moment of time, and I'm experiencing, I'm sensing all of this, and this feels very, very weird to me. And something is a puzzle, something is a non-puzzle, something is a mix of both, something is less than. So all of this that I'm sensing, is that a reflection of somebody else, or is that a reflection of me, or is that a reflection of everything? You know, and I believe this is a reflection of possibly everything with everything. Because realistically, if everything and everyone, because look, there's people that are choosing to, well, they're not, the choice has nothing to do with truth. How can they be choosing something that has nothing to do with what the truth is? Okay? I've perceived something to be true in terms of there's many, many things out there. What was the most truth that resonated with me and that made me do what I did in terms of the formula? Everything to do with truth in terms of realistically the answer is what made me do the formula. Well, didn't make me, however, I did. I understood and I did. Everything else, was off. Didn't make sense. Had nothing to do with. And so, therefore, when those people know the fact of the matter, and I've said this before, and I've said this before, then everything should be changing and being true. I want to rest. I want to relax. Not rest. However, I want to relax. I want to get out of my predicaments so I could do what I need to do. And I know what I need to do. And so, me relaxing, me getting out of my predicaments, no one should be bothering me or anybody in the process. Because my health is the most significant for me, so then I could do the most significant thing for the entire planet of what I need to do. So health is the number one most important thing. Without health, there's nothing else. Nothing else. I can't do what I need to do because of my health. So in terms of me, everything has to be true. No one can be lied to everything that ever occurred on me and everything. No one can be lied to. Everything has to be true. Everything. So then everything can make sense and make sense. So with this said, people being true, people being good, has to do with caring, being kind, and think in terms of caring for one another. Okay, anytime of issue, whatever anything may be, just think in terms of caring for one another. While this is so, no one can go against this. No one can violate this. Everything realistically has to be true. So everybody has to be on the same page. So everything can work correctly. Somebody's saying on you, somebody's cussing. That was stupid cuss. I think they're cussing at themselves. Wherever anything may be, doesn't matter. No matter just people get out these conditions, these brainwashings to be who they're supposed to be. Their true self. Everything else is a lie. People have done various things and also received various kind reflections of what I've been mentioning. So I forgot about something. I just remembered about something. That's true. Whoever thought that, correct. Because if I remembered, obviously, something would have been offered to something or someone else. That's why I kept something. Otherwise, I would eat something a long time ago. So maybe the everything that's not making sense is everybody that is realistically not making sense. Everybody and all the nonsense that they ever had is possibly in a kinder way receiving everything's sense of me, my reflection, and especially whatever is true is realistically for those people that are listening to the most truth, the understanding of everything. So some people say, well, we can create any reality, we can do anything we want. Well, can you? Because last time I checked, if you can do something, that something has to be the most true and the most good of whatever you're doing, in terms of the visions, thoughts, true self, perspectives, and everything else. Then you say, well, I can do this. And I say, yes, you can. I say, yeah, you can do that. Because that's good. That's true. That makes sense. You're good. You're true. You make sense. You're understanding. You're the answer. Therefore, what you do is good. Therefore, what you do is a benefit, all elements. And therefore, you can do something. And that something that you're doing is good in all elements. And that is basically the answer, similar to oxygen. Some people have tried to make me believe something that is so false. With their perception, with their mentality, with everything, they try to make me believe something that was false. And I've been handling their perception, their belief the entire time. You almost had me there. Everything in terms of whatever's going on around me, I know it was done one time, too, so many times over and over again to literally make something perfected. And what the truth is, yes, some people, I guess, they lost themselves in this thing that they created on themselves, and over and over and over again found with me of what the true reality was, and from somebody else too. So then, the psychology also gets real. Somebody said that we're thinking the same. So people are thinking the same or similarly, and that's also very, very significant. So I know a lot of people are going through a lot of processes with their effects and experiences, and I know generally everybody may be feeling similar and different for a variety of elements. And the point would be, wherever anything is, doesn't matter. For people to realistically attain knowledge along the way and understand correctly, and doing so, make correct choice decisions to be able to drive predicaments, dysfunctions into what is true reality, onto what is true reality, of what true reality is, without any form of misunderstanding of what I'm talking about. You know, in terms of everything being a puzzle, in terms of everything working out, in terms of people realistically understanding everything. To be able to make correct choice decisions, to then be able to make more correct choices. Listen, this isn't about me making correct choice decisions. This is about everybody. I fail, somebody else upholds. I fail, somebody else upholds. Somebody else follows, I uphold. Until people get everything correct. Well, not get, however, understand everything correctly. Excuse me. There's a condition that I'm speaking in reference to. Oh, what words I use? Fortunately for me, good thing that I catch myself. And catching myself, I correct myself when I understood what the truth was. Before, when I used to use words, I wasn't aware of all this. Okay, so someone is trying to make somebody passive the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time. Remember, whatever anything is, even if some people are trying to make some people passive, purpose, truth, healing, going to true reality, what true reality is. Everything else is false. Okay? So this is a transparent fork. This is a fork. It doesn't equal anything else. In terms of the fork, that's the true measurement. That's the fork. Everybody has to also be on the same page that, hey, this is the fork. Now the fork has the vegetable on it. And no, look, what type of vegetable this is? This is either a cucumber or something else. Try and taste something so I can know exactly what that is. Oh, well, I dropped that, and now I got something else that looks similar to that. That wasn't the answer. So either that was a cucumber, that was a celery. One or the other. I can know exactly what something is. Yeah, something was both of what something could have been. Well, let's look at the ingredients. I tossed that paper somewhere. I can go back to something and I can understand something if I need to. Oh, I'll just find it later. Or maybe I have the answer now. Well, is this the answer or is this? To do with the answer? Well, I think this is the answer and this has to do with the answer. So, I can't find the answer. And I cannot redo that particular thing that I wanted to eat because that was eaten, and now I can't find the same thing. I don't know if it's the same thing. Looks like the same thing. Is this the same thing? You know what? I believe so. I believe this was a celery. Or maybe asparagus. Now I think about that. Looks like a celery though. Let's see if I have a celery here. Oh, I do have a celery here. Something looks for a celery. You know what? This may be something else. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. Now some people are then comparing this to something else. And they may, because something is generally true. I don't know something. However, I do know the fact that everything true, that vision is real. Everything I heard that was true was real. And everything that I felt that was true was real. Everything else was false. Everything else I didn't believe. Everything else I didn't partake in. Everything else I didn't give my attention to. Everything else was not for me. I brought awareness to this type of stuff that was occurring, so people, something will be unnoticed, similar to the picture that I was uh, showing earlier in terms of something not being the answer and something being the answer. Remember, it doesn't matter what people believe. You're supposed to have every form of belief that is false. People may believe something and perceive it. There's cheating going on too. I'm sharp. Okay? I'm sharp. That you know what that equals to? That equals I'm attentive. I'm attentive, I'm conscientious, I'm aware. I'm sharp. Okay? Depending on how people are affected or are influenced, they may look at the word sharp and they may perceive something or something else, in terms of somebody else doing something to them. Well, guess what? That cannot be because why? That's live vision. Live vision, live thought, live feeling. Cannot be. This is my reality. Should the word sharp change? Should the word fork change too? Because my name has the word fork in it, not the fork, however, orc or orc, you know. Just because my name has the word orc, it doesn't equal anything. Equals something to somebody else with their perception, their perspective, and with their understanding of what this word equals to, what this equals to, and what I equal to. Is that realistically what is true though? In terms of what something equals to me? Of what somebody else thinks about what I think about my own self? Or my reality, my perception, my vision, my thought, my idea, my doing, whatever I do? Is that what is true? No. I don't let that bother me. I don't allow that to bother me. I still do what I do. I'm still going to continue to do what I do. And people cannot stop me. And they shouldn't want to either. Unless you want to, and you have legitimate reasons, something being natural, not fixed in terms of stopping me, then I agree in terms of the legitimate reasons, something telling me, someone telling me, hey, these are the legitimate reasons why this, or this you shouldn't be saying, and here's why. And I can say, you know what, is that true? I can say, is that true? Then I can agree. And then I won't agree. I want something to be true. I want somebody to tell me, hey, you know what? This is better. You're not saying something. And then tell me why. I can say, okay, you know what? Here's what the answer is, and I need to be that answer. I don't need anybody to tell me this. I sense what's going on, so therefore I feel the urge to say something. When I'm talking about feeling, I'm talking about naturally something occurring, not unnaturally that some people try to draw and make me believe something that was false. So, in terms of that particular word changing, that image changing, and should the word fork change also? Well, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Just because, and I'm saying this because just because my name happens to be the ORK, and it doesn't equal that the quote unquote fork has to change because of me. No, I'm just giving an example. Mentioning an example. Mentioning, not giving. Mentioning an example of what something realistically is. So, some people are cussing or saying some type of nonsense thing. However, they're on puzzles. They're also not making sense either. They're not making sense with me. They're not a puzzle. Well, so they have to be a puzzle. Otherwise, they're not this. And they don't matter to me. Yeah, they don't matter to me. Different perceptions, different waves, different perspectives. Yeah. If something is true, matters. What I mentioned in terms of if you have nothing true to me at all, don't say anything at all. Somebody took that out. You know what? That's also another, because I'm doing a favor for people. They test me, they do this, they do that, they try to retrieve information from me. I don't give them the correct true information in that particular element. They talk to me in that particular style, and I talk back to them because I'm like, these people possibly don't understand. I'm nice to them. I'm not a jerk. I'm not an asshole. I'm not mean. Where then I know that somebody's saying something false, and I should just like not mention anything until somebody then says, "Oh well, this is true," and therefore I can only speak true, and therefore if I speak true, I'll just receive true back because I don't know that person from my idea, my perception of that person, everything they've done on me doesn't make sense with what something is the answer of what the answer should be, of what the answer really is, you know? If something is the answer, I say, you know what? Yeah, you're correct, man. When something is not the answer, when something is not the answer of what the answer is, I cannot tell you you're correct. I can't. That's me lying to myself, lying to somebody else, lying to somebody else, and that doesn't resonate with me. Because what's truth is the fact that something is the answer, and therefore makes sense with what I'm doing, what I'm saying. So, man, speaking about different perceptions and perspectives, I'm feeling something with a mix. Okay, I'm not feeling something in terms of what the answer is. You know, should I receive what the answer is in terms of this is this and this equals this, and so therefore, what do you think about this? I'm not receiving that, even though I did, and even though I am with various groups, even though I am, there's also a mix of what I'm receiving. Something is not the truth of what I am. You know, me being true the way I am is what the answer is. Should people judge people in terms of them being false and falsely judging somebody? The person that's judging somebody may also be manipulated too, without the person even realizing that they're manipulated, thinking that they have the answers where somebody's possibly manipulating them. Because me being the most true in terms of who I am, besides the brain, before the brainwashing, I'm not talking about being misjudged when I was brainwashed and I was taken off. I'm not talking about me abnormal to normal. I'm talking about when I realistically woke up when 4 years ago when this occurred, you know, in terms of what the truth is, and me being entirely true of everything that ever occurred. And people were realistically not true back the way they were supposed to be true back. So is that normal? You know, the way people feel, the way people perceive reality, is that normal? Don't people want something to perceive something the way something is and be normal the way they're supposed to be? So I can say, hey, you know what? Hey, this is this, this is this, this is this. Everything to me is exactly what everything is in terms of everything I'm saying that is true. Everything else is not me. It's somebody else that's trying to make a part of me. That's all there is to that of what's going on. So this is the color blue. This has a lid. This is saying Expo, and over here it says dry erase. It says chisel and it says order on this too. And it says USA. It says U.S.A. It has the R symbol with incorporated possibly. It says conforms to ASTM D4236 point. So what the heck is that? In terms of conforms to ASTM D4236. Who's that? I don't know. And somebody wants me to link this with somebody else. Somebody said Simonway or something. So they want to then either they're linking this with somebody else or somebody else is linking that with something else and trying to frame Simonway or something. Either somebody's trying to frame Simonway and make them link to this, or they're trying to take credit and claim that they're part of this. Then that's what I heard. And so whenever I hear something, something is then moved away, and then the truth is what's sticking. Then I heard OMG in terms of the truth sticking. That's how I perceive that too. So should I talk about how I perceive something? Because that can occur. And what if something is lies and I perceive something lies? Will somebody change the story or somebody's on top of that? I think somebody's on top of that. Well, when I talk about on top of that, I'm not talking about a physical body. I'm talking about the person's aware, the person's doing their job to uphold what is true and preserve what is true, not uphold. Uphold is a wrong variation of the word. Preserve. Preserve is what is correct. Preserve is what will work. Everything else is lies. Why did I hear that? Where is that stemming from? Did people allow that to be? Well, I think any form of nonsense occurring, people and truth is allowing something to be. Something is making sense. Something is needed to see what is what possibly still, That may be occurring. Somebody said, oh my God. And then somebody said, genius, genius. So, I want this to be abundantly known to me. Because otherwise, something is not the truth of what something is. And if something is in my house and is making a noise and something is not abundantly known to me, should that specific group of people or something, should I trust them? Them knowing me, me not knowing them? I know them in terms of the way they know me, visions, my idea of them, and so on and so forth. However, do I know them? Similar to me knowing them, similar to this, I can touch, I can feel, I can hold, I can know what this is. No, they don't. No, I don't. So that has to be abundantly known to me. People want something from me, and they want something from me without making sense. Versus people that do, and so I do everything for the people that are making sense. The people that are not making sense is very, very weird in terms of them changing and making sense. They have to change and make sense. When I talk about the word not, remember, the word not can equal something else. However, I'm striving not to make a mistake, and therefore people cannot play dirty on me. I don't do that type of stuff. So Where's, when I want something, when I'm talking about making sense to make sense and be the most absolute, what are people waiting for, man? What are people waiting for? Doesn't make sense to me what they're waiting for. Everything should be abundantly known to me and to something or someone else. Everything else is abundantly known. Why not make that abundantly known in terms of what everything is? This is what's not making sense, and the people are expecting sense from me. That's not making sense. I'm like, hey, you know what? You want to make sense? All you have to do is make sense too. So something can make sense and only make sense and only can continue to make sense. With people getting out of their predicaments, with people healing, with people receiving technology, healing frequencies. With everything making sense to make sense. Otherwise, people expect me to make sense and then not make sense, and that doesn't make sense. So realistically, this in terms of the noise I'm hearing from the refrigerator needs to be abundantly known to me. Something is not known to me. I know it in terms of visions, in terms of perception, perspective, in terms of where the direction of everything is going, in terms of truth and true direction. However, something is still not the most sense. And so people say, okay, well, what should be the most sense? Something less sense or something more sense? Well, me being the most sense, I'm still making sense. I'm still making sense. I'm saying what I'm experiencing, perceiving. I've mentioned this throughout the mix. And people knew this throughout the mix also, where I didn't have to mention this, to try to understand what was going on possibly, what was what. So realistically, something being true and something continuing to be true will work, I believe. And I know and I understand to be true. Because everything works, all you have to do is apply everything. You see for yourself. You test the results, you get a perception and understanding of something, and something makes sense for you, and therefore you're able to understand something, perceive something, know something, see something work, be that something that works, etc. People cannot believe that they're saying, "Oh, well, this person, is this type of a genius, and yet he can't do that, 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 that." Well, there's a reason why I'm not doing this, that. Because the reasons all have to do with, you know, once and for all, me solving everything is something making sense and continuing to make sense. That's why. All of this that's occurring has to change according to what is truth to enable me and to enable everything to continue to make sense. Even though I can, won't make sense because something is not making sense for me to make sense and continue to make sense. How can everything make sense for me, somebody else, for everything to continue? With truth, you can continue. With truth, you can continue. Anything that continues has to have a good effect, good influence, and anything that is true shall continue. The truth is something that is good, something that is caring, something that is kind, and that is what is true. Now, when people do specific elements, specific moments, specific whatever they need to do, whatever, if they're aware or they're not aware of whatever they're doing, and playing sneaky or politics or something else for me to then be nice to them while they do this type of stuff is them not making sense. Those people not making sense are changing the story, are trying to make me or somebody else conform to them or side with them. And I don't side with them, I don't conform to them. Why? Because the Earth is not supposed to conform to Mars. Mars is supposed to conform to Earth. Mars can't do what is needed for the Mars. Excuse me. Earth can't do what is needed for the Mars to be Earth, and then heaven on Mars. Similar to Earth, heaven on Earth, and heaven on Earth, and heaven on everything, and so on and so forth. So I'm not fooled. I'm not duped. Some people think I'm fooled. I'm duped. I'm not fooled. I'm not duped. They're playing a belief game or some type of a thing for me to be nice, so they could draw a narrative differently in their likeness, and their image and their likeness sucks. It has to do with hell. Some people then try to copy something and try to make something seem though something is true, however, is something realistically true? No. You're supposed to be the answers for you to be true. You can't just call yourself truth. Sad. You just have stupid vision, man. You know what this is? This is the way I perceive this is unbrainwashing. Yet some people throw that in the trash. Well, that's a bag to throw in the trash. Everything else that people believe and perceive in terms of the bag being the person or something being something, is not normal. It's not reality. Matter of fact, people shouldn't be doing this type of stuff. You know, what people should realistically be doing is unbrainwashing everything and everyone. People should be unbrainwashing everything and everyone. What is the correct image that somebody's going to see and want this goes away? Everybody is supposed to take away these images, take away these thoughts in terms of words that are low in vibration, that don't make sense with the nature of reality. And so that's how the change is going. I understand that it has a purpose too, because people are affected in a specific way, doings and processes, and they have to see how people have been, who has affected whom, how, so people can then specifically take people out of those conditions to see whom has possibly done whom how, or maybe how people perceive reality. The thing is look, this is not the person, this is not who, this is the false everything that's occurring is part of the issue of what may be going on. I say you don't need to know who, even though because people are honest to one another. You know who has done what on everybody, and everybody updates everybody and says, okay, well, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, or this affected this. This is what the person went through. This is what happened. So everything should be updated, if not already, in that specific element, because there's other things that are updated, however, not entirely how something should be. So think in terms of unbrainwashing, unbrainwashing, unbrainwashing. How are people going to be unbrainwashing people? Realistically, images and words that are positive. Generally, people need to be unbrainwashing everything and everyone. Specifically, this may make sense. Okay? Similar to generally, somebody should be unbrainwashing something or someone, and doing so, also understand and realize that specifically conditioning, similar to what I mentioned before, to uncondition. So people get specifics, yes. Makes sense. Okay? Everybody should be on the same page. Everybody should trust one another. Everything should work out based on truth and understanding. And that's how something should continue to be. That can continue. That will continue. To the midst, people go through different perspectives and perceptions and effects and experiences and influences and so on and so forth. And so all of that may make people not want to be true, may change something or someone. The person realistically being true, them being true, they know that no one can mess with them. I'm that type of a person where nothing can realistically scare me into submission in terms of me being who I am. I'd rather die, and I don't want to say this, I'd rather die being true than be fake or be manipulated with something or someone. That's just the person I am. So, besides that point, that doesn't matter to me. I don't care about that. What I do care about realistically is the fact that people with influences and effects and all these things that are occurring, they get out of that type of stuff where no one's influencing or affecting anything anyhow except what is true. The influence, the effect, the anything, whatever anything is, has to be true. Everybody has to agree with what is true. You cannot disagree with what is true. You can't disagree with water. You need water to survive. Same thing with what is true. Everything to do with truth, you need truth to survive. Truth is keeping everything and everyone alive. So truth is the water, is the answer. The answer is keeping everything intact, everything alive, everything going, flowing, getting better and better and better of everything that they're doing. That's truth. That's the power of truth. Pick me, pick me. No, don't pick me. Choose me. Pick is the wrong word. You can pick, you can pick, you can pick, you can pick, pick. No. The words have to be similar to a muffler. You know how there's no muffler sound? That's the most correct. What's that? What else is the answer of everything? Or maybe the muffler sound being the most correct, depending on what specific moment of time, maybe similar to music. The muffler may have a good, very good music sound and make people feel good. Universal music. So I believe what's going on is in specific moments, specific elements of time, people are doing some type of wave on me that is making me feel very, very weird. Possibly making somebody else feel weird too. Who's that? Disconnected. Turned off. In other words, turn it off. You know, and disconnect the two. Because that pertains to technology, similar to a phone off versus something else that doesn't make sense that people say. So, you know how everything will evolve and change? Somebody goes to a grocery store or somewhere, not grocery. I don't want to say grocery store. What's that? Grocery? Gross. Oh, you're gross. What's that? That's an insecurity nonsense, bogus, possibly. So, realistically, anywhere people go, there has to be an evolved way of doing everything. You're supposed to see an evolved image. You're supposed to see an evolved word. And doing so, well, I'm explaining something somebody said something to do with SMD. And I happened to laugh because I said in doing so, and that was a different story. So going back to what I was saying, that was also what was going on. So if I ignore that, that was going to be weird. And a woman said that. I heard that from a woman of what they were saying. And so, to be honest with you, that was weird. I should not hear that. That's not normal. That's abnormal, in other words, of what I heard. Yeah, some people are trying to be funny, maybe. That's my perception. They're being funny. They're funny people. They possibly did a bunch of stuff to a bunch of people and saw a comparison, possibly comparing the two. Going back to what I was saying, somebody else is saying something else at the moment of time too. The evolved encounter that people are supposed to be experiencing and being and choosing. See, notice choosing. You're true, you then you choose something that is also true. And you know that this is good plastic and hasn't been contaminated and is not been in the sun. Of course, this is an old bottle that I've been using. This has just been sitting here. This has been sitting here for, I don't know, months, and I happen to put water inside and drink the water. I don't care about nonsense. Illusions of power. I can do whatever I want. Ooh. No, I can't. That's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Okay? That's a very good thing that I cannot do whatever I want. Because what if what I want has nothing to do with reality? Nothing to do with what is true. Should I be able to then do something that goes against what is true? No. No. I and nor should anybody be able to go against what is truth. And you know what I just noticed? Somebody said on your family, and then somebody said "f me," and they said my name. So you know what was this about? Should I say that? Should I mention that? Should I not? I've always mentioned relatively what I've been hearing. Generally, not relatively. Generally, what I've been hearing. Correction. So, if you ask me, when these two occur, is people realistically need to be the answer. They have to be the truth to understand the truth. And somebody saying that, whatever they said, they were also like being funny too. Whatever I heard, my perception, people were just being funny, being weird funny. Somebody said OMG from a distance, and somebody said something to do with SMD again in my language. So look, this is not me. Has nothing to do with me. These are people that force themselves in somebody's life possibly and have distorted this. I heard OMG and I heard OMG again, and I heard this several times with different people. Happened to be women. So I'm hearing OMG, OMG. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can. Some people are seeing reactions of me. It doesn't matter to me, to be honest with you. What does matter is what I'm just talking about. Somebody said, you know, that word with a G and an A and an N and an S and a T and an A, you know, and I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that word, man. That's not part of the true reality what I'm trying to create, man. You know, some people are like, oh, well, does that make you true for saying that? You know what? I could have chosen not to say that, man. At the same time, me making lemonade off of that, well, look, the point, the signification will be that no one's labeled gangster anymore. Okay? Why take that label, gangster? What is that, man? Doesn't flatter me very well. The signification will be for people to get these labels, these mislabels. This is embarrassing. Two of these. Well, it doesn't have milk. However, this two pieces has 12 grams of sugar. 12 grams of sugar. 12 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. And some nonsense is showing a stupid image of something or someone making themselves benign to something or someone. You know, somebody's benign, and if somebody's trying to go against that person, psychologically abusing people, possibly, in terms of something or someone that doesn't want to be together, is forced, possibly, and that's something being forced. Somebody's trying to psychologically manipulate people, change the narrative, change the story to make them deter, undermine truth, and submit and give up. Possibly, that's what they're doing with that stupid image of showing that man and that female together, while something or someone else is saying, "Hey, you know what that happens? This is the image. This is the warning of you nonsensers that attempt to do that nonsense." Whatever way some people will understand, up to not engage in that stupid behavior, will be the answer. Because the point is for something or someone to stop. Yet, how are they going to stop? You know, should something try in terms of doing something correct, something first, secondary, third, and fourth, and fifth? That may not always work immediately. What may always work immediately is something, hey, you know what, you do that, and that is what's going to happen, and that clicks and registers to somebody. Depending on how people are experienced and affected and influenced, may vary. That may vary. The point is just for something to stop. However, anything registers to something or someone. That is what basically what is true. Because then you gotta think about what's going on, what the elements are. You know, is something before, is something during, is something occurring, is something about to, you know, what time is something? What time is something? And so realistically, if you ask me, technology in the true hands definitely should stop something safely doing so in terms of the first time, second time, third, you know, and so on. The problem with this is the fact that some people, you know, do something at level 10 on you while you're on the first step. So therefore, that image was possibly somebody did something on another level, and somebody got that person also on another level too. So that's the answer of what. Well, this isn't the answer. This has nothing to do with the answer. However, this is what is occurring. Correction. Because the answer has to do with truth. That has nothing to do with the truth. That's just a phenomena of two people possibly doing something that they're not agreeing to one another. They're possibly going against one another. So obviously, the person doesn't want to be forced. Cannot be with somebody else. That person belongs to the puzzle piece. That person belongs to the puzzle piece. And the people that are doing whatever they're doing, they also belong with their puzzle piece too. Everybody belongs to their puzzle piece. Well, and I don't want to use the word peace because peace, yes, equals part of truth in terms of what the truth is, being peaceful, being quote unquote harmonious. However, I stopped using that word harmonious because the word harmonious has the word harmony, harmonious. So that doesn't make sense with me. Peaceful does make sense. Peace does make sense. However, peace has been corrupted because of the word peace in terms of segments. Pieces. So that also I don't want to use either. Until later into the time will change, and therefore I will change my mind, and everything will be correct, and everybody will be on the same page, and therefore I can say, hey, remember the peaceful word? When the peaceful word was something corrupted, well, now something is the quote unquote definition of the word peaceful, and therefore that is what is true. Otherwise, these other things that are going on in terms of what the truth is, people claiming that has something to do with that is the answer is not the answer. It has nothing to do with the answer. I don't want to give the answer a weird name. It has been preserved. You want to keep something that is true, sacred, and holy and pure. And anything that isn't, you want to change, get out of predicaments, out of toxicities, to be able to return back to the purity, the sacredness, the holiness of what something is supposed to be. Whatever that something is supposed to be. So, the person is not supposed to force anybody to go against anything. Anything that's a force is out of control and dangerous. To stop, to change, to then be back to how something is supposed to be and continue to be true. They're not supposed to be people influencing and affecting wrong influences, wrong effects to feel all sorts of weird things. It's not supposed to happen. Because then that's like excuse for people who say, "Oh, well, look, and they can't say what they need to say." I went through all this type of stuff. I even had access and I have an idea of everything to do what I want to do if I really choose something else. The thing is I'm going to be refraining from all this. That's not even a last resort for me. There's no last resort for that. Those people are supposed to change and get out of those type of behaviors too. That's why there's going to be no last resort for me for that. Because everything is supposed to be so well that people are going to change and be something better than they are, where something or someone is now forced to use something, and it's something or someone else claims that they're wrong and tries to go against those people, or that person go against them. What is true is that you cannot force the person with the other person. That must be separated. That must be established. Number two, number two equals the fact that people of those people doing whatever they're doing on one another, saying, "Hey, if you do that, this will happen." That is also changed and stopped. How? With the person not forcing themselves upon somebody else. Once that is established, then in time, changes will occur and correct changes will occur for people understanding that establishing the fact that you cannot force something or someone against you or in you or outside of you or inside of you because something is forced. You cannot force anything the way quote unquote some people understand the definition of force. Something is unjust, something is forceful, something is wrong, something is illegal, something is unlawful, something is a violation, something goes against, something is not the way something is supposed to be, something is the false nature of something or someone doing that particular, doing whatever they want to do. Something is a particular style that the style has a dysfunction. The dysfunction is the problem. The person doing the problem, while the person is curing something in terms of what the cure is the issue. Because somebody's fixing something and somebody's spitting on their face. Somebody's alive tomorrow and the next day and the next day because of everything that is true. And that person saying, fuck you. all has to be reverted. All has to be reversed. Everything has to be how everything is supposed to be, where everything is supposed to be. Similar to a puzzle, similar when you go into a store and you see everything together, is how everything is supposed to realistically be. Attaining knowledge, true knowledge, understanding, perceiving the true correct everything is how something is supposed to realistically be. So everything else is false. People may say all sorts of things and do all sorts of things. Well, what are you doing? What are you saying? What are you thinking? Why are you misspending your time? Why are you making me misspend my time? Because versus what is the need of the ocean is here a pool again. And I get irritated whenever this happens because then this continuously occurs where something if it's once this is established, has to be established, then therefore the truth has to be preserved and applied and practiced where the truth is supposed to be that particular style of what the truth realistically is. You may disagree with the truth, however, the truth doesn't realistically care because if you disagree with the answer, then who's wrong? You disagreeing with what is true, or truth disagreeing with something or someone that is false? Think about that. Because upon further research and thinking and pondering and sinking in and absorbing, you will start understanding something. However, not only understanding something in terms of doing that, in terms of thinking, however, being, changing, practicing what is true. Otherwise, people, don't take something correctly or seriously the way something is supposed to be taken seriously or correctly, and then the results don't show, and they wonder, well, why isn't this working? Well, because there's more to the story of what is occurring, and you're possibly most likely not applying the answer. And so, do I have everything done on point to say what I'm saying? No, I have a totality of the reflection of what I received and what I'm giving back in terms of what the answer may be. In other words, there's more to the story with what I'm saying. If I have everything done on point, guaranteed results. The thing is I can't. That's the point. I can't do what I need to do because I'm continuously bombarded with 10,000 other things, which I'm happy to do. I'm happy to solve. The only thing is, people have to, establish something and be able to move forward. They're not supposed to be creating a problem and then wondering why something is not changing. Maybe somebody didn't know an answer to something. Maybe that was the answer to what they needed to hear. So people are racing or something. Are you more get set go? What is that about? Are people being the answer? People being true? Whatever people say won't bother you. Everything that people said to the cousin never realistically bothered me. The only way something bothered me was something was false. I was affected in a certain way. The influences, the effects of something bothering me bothered me. To do with me being optimized in health and somebody saying that to me doesn't bother me. Something is false. You guys, some people need an excuse, perhaps, to claim, oh yeah, well, this bothers you because it's true, because something is true supposedly. Some people are saying something random, should possibly see a reaction, possibly compare with something else, possibly have a bet going to do with somebody. So earlier, I finished somebody's narrative, and they think that they're correct. They may be wrong. Some people are making blind choices, blind decisions while they're wrong. Then some people create scenarios on people to make them wrong, to then claim that they're correct and you're wrong, and therefore they can then make control upper hand or so on and so forth. If somebody creates some type of nonsense scenario on people, that's a form of weakness. Something has to be natural in terms of being true, in terms of receiving truth. They cannot anything attaining of knowledge, man. Attaining of knowledge, if people realistically understand attaining of knowledge, they won't create any form of nonsense. Corruption of creation. They'll hesitate, they'll stop. They won't do so because something is less than of what is true. Attaining knowledge is the number one answer of whatever anything may be. To attain knowledge, to understand that what you're doing is wrong, to understand that what you're doing you can change and you can make correct. And making correct, everything will be the way something is supposed to be. A lot of people are being lied to. Why? No one's supposed to be lying to anybody. Nobody, no person is supposed to be lying to anybody. Some people think when I say something, some people go and do, they lie to somebody. No, every time I say something, I bring something to awareness so that type of stuff will not occur. People are sneaky foxes. They're like, oh, well, when I say something, something occurs. Okay. When I say something, anything that is true occurs. Anything that's false has nothing to do with this cannot occur, cannot be. The effect has to only be good. The effect cannot be bad. So those groups, wherever are supposedly lying and doing whatever they're doing, has to make sense. Except you have the mix that everybody has with everything with life, and they're lying to people is similar to a word. Anything, what is similar to a word? In terms of the people are using a word that has 5, 10 different definitions, and then people can pick at that, can choose that, similar to the word pick, and use a bunch of lie excuses and change the narrative and change the tone of something. So everything is supposed to be what something is. At that point, when whatever something is, the answer people must apply and practice, cannot adapt, cannot go against, cannot do the opposite. Because then the answer of the water, where possibly most people didn't realize that to be true, people didn't realize that water was the answer, so they mixed the answer with Coke. If they knew that the answer was water and what the answer was, they wouldn't mix that. They wouldn't go against, they wouldn't do the opposite. They didn't know that the water was the answer, so therefore they manipulated the water to something else. Yeah. They didn't know that the water was the answer. If they did, they wouldn't mix the water. Yet somebody did possibly. Somebody did, and somebody put that to a test. Everybody failed. I passed. Change according to what is true. Once the truth is known, therefore everything changes according to what is true. Everything changes according to what is true. The people themselves that did that possibly inherited some type of mess. They didn't know that was the answer. If I knew something was the answer, would I do that for a test for somebody else? No. 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 Because I'm a type of person where I like to preserve what is true. I don't like mixing what is true. I don't like doing tests similar to that. If there's some type of a test, why should I go against the answer and do that type of a test? I would do that type of test in something that is not the answer to get the same result. I don't need to go against what is the answer. Mix something. If I was the answer, if those people were the answers, they wouldn't be mixing the answer. I'll put it that way. Maybe they're a different answer. Maybe they're a different truth. Maybe something else was different. However, I wouldn't personally do that. I personally would not do that. I don't know why those people may have done that. Whoever did that. However, there may have been a purpose of what they were doing and the way the totality of everything was. However, then, whatever the people believed, the masses believed, where they partook in lies, the lies manipulated them and everybody. Where people partook in the truth was able to recover and gain power and put lies where lies belong. Then, once that occurred, then people are like, okay, well, now I can change. I can change and I could then be truth. However, you're supposed to change knowing what the answer is. Knowing what the answer is, you're supposed to change for that to occur in terms of before waiting, in terms of going back and forth or against one another. You know the answer, you apply the answer. Something was similar to some type of particular way, whomever decided that, I don't know. The point of the matter is not back and forth or against. The point of the matter is the fact that this needs to be preserved, being the answer, and realistically, being practiced and manifested here on this earth. So either people were looking for lie excuses while they knew the answers were available and they knew they could have the answers available, or they found reasons to be true. Once that was established, then I can do what I need to do here continuing in a different chapter, and different chapter and different chapter. Yeah, all this entire time can literally feel only one day. I'm not kidding you. You know, I wouldn't be saying that if I was just lying to you. I don't want to lie to anybody. I want to be honest. I'm an honest person. I want the truth to be preserved so everything can work out correctly, so everything can be how something is supposed to be. Not how you want something to be, because what you want may not be what is true. And why be something that you're not supposed to be? There realistically shouldn't be any form of back and forth going on. in specific elements of reality. Versus other specific elements of reality, the back and forth makes sense. Versus others, doesn't make sense. It's just a misspent of time or what people are doing. So, are people realistically being true? Because there's your answers. While, from my overall understanding, people are, other people are not. They don't know that I've passed everything realistically in terms of everything that pertains to me. I guess some people want me to go to a specific location and do a wrong math on me. In other words, they're aware, they play stupid, and I have to go and say something for something to be. Just ridiculous, you know? Doesn't make sense. That's a wrong math. They want me to fit in their wrong math so they can do something else. You know, why wait and not make sense and do a wrong math? What do I have to? I mentioned something, so therefore I can go and do something. You know, just appalling to me how ridiculous that is. As people are seeing the ridiculous reflections, possibly. That's possibly fitting in their narrative, and they're claiming that they're correct while they're literally wrong. Whoever that may be. So the play out. The psychological play out of what's occurring. People playing a stupid card in the moment of time while I'm doing something is also pathetic too, at best. Somebody's doing a dysfunctional play out and thinking I'm falling for their scheme and thinking I partake in their scheme. If I don't, if I partake in their scheme, if I don't do something, that'll be me believing their scheme. However, fortunately for me, I'm not partaking in their scheme. I'm not believing their scheme. When I say, oh, well, don't give that person shouldn't know this because then just something is a lie still. Something is a lie. Something is not making sense the way something is supposed to. And something doesn't work correctly. Versus something that is true, works correctly, makes sense. And it's just a matter of putting something in perspective for something to realistically be. For that to happen, people need to realistically understand everything with true measurements, the totality of measurements, for something to be correctly, the way something is supposed to be correctly. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. and people expect different results. And to be honest with you, these irrelevant nonsense plays that are occurring are so false. They're a misspent of time for me. No, it's like get real, you know? Not real in terms of the unreal reality that some people are creating. However, real in terms of trying to condition me and with their image or perspective or fear-based thing, whatever anything may be. I don't like when people are trying to manipulate people to think in a certain way, claiming that something makes sense. Lie excuses is what people are looking for. They're just looking for any form of mistakes or anything, anything they can. Whoever those groups are, they're logical to justify their narrative and their math. Being stupid, whatever sticks, goes. So I understand whatever they did on the multiple of levels in terms of something good was born out of that. However, didn't really affect me, to be honest with you. And then some people, they're telling people, hey, do this, hey, do that, or hey, make this choice, hey, make this decision. And their choice and decision has nothing to do with what the truth is or what reality is. So people are trying to do false measurements on me. That's no one's fault except the people that are doing false measurements on the person in terms of nothing to do with reality or what some people are doing. Versus to do with reality, what some people are doing. So are people being true in terms of everything I mentioned, of how they're supposed to realistically be? Or are they finding excuses? And are people doing different types of tests and different types of standards? And if they don't see something, they don't like something, then something is, that's their call. However, I think something is maybe obscene or ridiculous, possibly. So I think some people possibly put a standard. You know what? The standard makes sense to me. However, the standard generally makes sense. Specifically doesn't make sense. No. So whoever did that weird standard, does that standard have anything to do with reality? or the answers and all the truth that I've been mentioning, with the elements and everything? If not, then I'm doing that for a specific reason in terms of why something or someone. If anybody's experiencing this, in terms of people doing what they need to do, in terms of being real, in terms of being true, in terms of being who they are, people are not allowing people to be who they're supposed to be or experience what they need to experience for everything to work out correctly. That's not anything is supposed to be. So I guess what I'm doing to those groups, those people, whoever they did, whoever they were, they put a different type of a standard of something. So you know how you're supposed to grow what is truth instead of go against what is truth? Well, some people are going against it and going against themselves and trying to make me believe a bunch of stupid narratives and maths that have nothing to do with reality. Some people are making seem though my reality something is real. Well, what is real is true reality, and people being a part of that true reality. That is what is real. Changing and being true is what is real. Some people are making me see a piano and a director and an instrument, and what they're doing is they're playing a play out, a movie. I think they're showing their perception, a reflection of perception and perspective. I'm not taking that personal. However, I am understanding that something is a puzzle, whatever they're doing. That's all. Something is so ridiculous that I'm not even enjoying what's supposed to be enjoyable, enjoyed, because of the weird act that they're doing. So they're possibly counting something in a specific way that doesn't make sense with me. And so I need another team. I need another team. That team didn't make sense to me. Who else is making sense and not making sense, and who else needs to change? Let's see. I think a belief game is going on. So people are painting something differently with one image and another image and so on and so forth. They need to understand that being true, no one can go against anything that is true in terms of what the answer is. So everything can change and be how everything is supposed to be. So I'm hearing some type of a cussing going on, whatever that may be. I don't know. I should be know what that is, and of course, if there's any form of issue occurring, the issue addressed in terms of what the elements are. Okay, so the situation is, I don't know. What I visioned, I don't know if this is true or false. False, true or false? False. I heard. Okay, let's say a scenario similar to this was occurring, where something or someone is chasing something or someone, and something or someone is in disagreement. So if something and someone is in disagreement with something, what's the answer? Where people are on the same page and they're understanding something correctly, and they're seeing eye to eye, and they're moving with their true self, with their higher consciousness. I'm also feeling very tense energy, almost making other people feel weird too. I think people create a very, very weird reality. I think what people need to do is everybody needs to wake up. Everybody needs to understand that there's some type of weird situation going on where there's a play out going on where something false is going against something that is true. So that should not be. This is a false reality that is occurring that doesn't make sense with reality at all. So I think what some people did is while the answers are occurring, they took some type of picture somewhere, and these pictures, everything was able to be people adapted to something. They're putting on like a series of a movie that something occurs, something dangerous, and what is occurring in terms of something dangerous. So somebody's saying, "Come help me." Said this about 10 times. While there was a person that was realistically showing an image of a person's privacy and some type of perverted images. And those groups need to stop showing those images of people's privacies to people. No one can show people's privacies to anything or anyone. This isn't the answer. There's something better. To some specific people may make sense in terms of uprightness and getting out of their programming and their original be their original self. However, in terms of downgrading, I don't that type of stuff doesn't fly with me very well. I can't. Yet some people play politics with this or some type of game. So realistically, the truth of the matter is self-evident truth, operating force, where people go through correct processes and correct stages of development. If somebody said "f me" or something. So these are distractions, possibly.